Here we go. We're in it, boys. We're back. It's the StatChat crew. Myself, Josh, BT, Taz are on the call. Taz, good to see you. We've been good the last 2 weeks. We've had a nice little thing going, the two of us.
We have. It's been great, just us two. But we do have someone special to bring back to the show.
The king is back.
Oh,
The king is back.
Look out. Here we
The
go.
comment section is already lighting up about him. And yes, the man is back. BT is back.
Rested for 2 weeks to come back for this big round. You guys need me.
Yeah, we don't need you, BT, but it is good to have you back on board. The chat lighting up. Taj is keen to see him. A good friend of yours, I believe, BT.
Taffy. Just call him Taffy.
Taffy? Thank God,
Taffy.
because we've been waiting for the last 3 weeks to figure out how to say this guy's name. Tawi Lenza says he's back and he's happy about it. Haz is on the call as well. G'day to you, mate. We are here. We are doing our review of round 5, fellas. Gather round. It was a big round of footy. We've got lots to talk about. A couple new segments coming up later on in the show. But when I say a couple, I mean one. We've got one we've got one new segment coming up later on the show, and I think it's going to be a doozy, and I think the chat's going to like it. But aside from that, if you are in the chat right now, give us a yell, say good day. If you're not subscribed, what the hell are you doing with yourself? Right, subscribe to the channel. The channel's growing, BT. You've been putting out some shorts lately. The numbers have been creeping up, and we like it.
See, I may not have been on the podcast, on the calls, but I'm still putting the work behind the scenes.
Putting in the work, and that's what we like to see. Alrighty, Tazza, let's get stuck in. It's the regular segment. It's the hits and the misses. This week it was tough because there was a couple of teams that really stood out as candidates for a hit. And us being the generous people that we are at StatChat Sports, we want to give a bit of love to some teams that are doing well. We're going to talk about 2 teams today. First of which, one of the hosts of Gather Round, the Adelaide Crows, Tazza.
Yes. Unfortunately, it's not Port Adelaide, the other host. But yeah, we will talk about Adelaide. They are proving you wrong, Josh.
They are.
You've been made to look like a bit of a fool here. They are looking extremely good, and a huge win against Carlton on Thursday night. That was so quick out of the blocks. It was unreal.
Yeah, look, I can't deny this, fellas, and we might touch on this later on in the show. But it was a terrible call by me. I said Adelaide was cooked, and they've come out 3 in a row. BT. It's while you haven't been on the show, Adelaide have started cooking. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I don't know, but they look phenomenal, actually. They look like a good final team. Like how they played, was it 2017 when they made grand final? That highly attacking team. Like, they got 4 players who have kicked more than 10 goals this season. Yeah. That's just unreal. Probably the best forward combination in the comp at the moment.
And has it we did talk about this in our pre-season video, that Adelaide, looking like they had the best forward line of the competition. You actually called me out in our group chat and said I was talking shit about you, but I agree with you. They got some good pieces there.
I know someone said it was a shit call. I can't remember, but yeah. Look, 100% I got to stick by that now. It's a very potent forward line, and it's such a good spread. I mean, it's so hard to shut one down. I mean, Rankin got shut down really on the weekend, and they still got blitzed, Carlton. So, I mean, Newman did an absolute job, and they still got torn apart.
So, we're talking about the forward line. We've got some stats here about the forward line, which I think is really indicative of where they're at. So, BT, they're the number 1 team in the AFL for converting inside 50s into scores. And that leads right into what you're saying. They've got 4 potent weapons up there that can mark the footy and can do the damage. So, they're efficient going inside 50. And then on the flip side of that, which I thought was really interesting, they're last in the competition for forward pressure and tackles inside 50. And that is because they're just clunking the footy. They're just delivering it in beautifully, hitting their targets and kicking their goals.
And they're hitting the target. They're not hitting the targets on the 50 or on the 45. They're hitting them pretty deep and pretty central, a lot of these targets as well, which is where you want to take these marks.
And Fogarty, Big Das, number 1 in the comp for marks inside 50 per game. First game back on the weekend, Tazza, and he looks $1 million. And this is what Adelaide fans have really wanted to see from the Foghorn.
Yeah, he was part of my bold prediction, which didn't quite go, but he absolutely held up his end of the bargain of that. Unfortunately, Rankin didn't, but he's such a huge frame. Him and Tex, they're so imposing. I mean, with 2 blokes that can just run and crash back. Well, they don't crash back, so they clunk marks. That's the thing. But if they're not clunking them, they're absolutely crash and pack. So it's hard to see any defence really getting a hold of this forward line all year. They've got all the weapons.
That's a big call, Taz. I mean, they do have a couple of big chassis down there, and we do like it, but that is a big call, I've got to say. Chat lining up here. And I like it. Our man Cobloaf is in the chat. Good areas. Area check 1-2, and I think that's courtesy of our man BT backing on here. Crows can foreplay and also finish the job. Erotic footy. That's a little bit of StatChat after dark there from Cobloaf Records. But I do like it. Jordan Dawson, BT. Can we talk about Jordan Dawson?
Hey, he's captain. Yeah. He's arguably probably the best one. Well, I'd say top 5, because there is a lot of good players. Top 5 in the comp at the moment with what he's doing. And first year as a captain, he's definitely stood up to that role. Yeah. He's been phenomenal. Averaging, we got 25 touches and 550 metres gained. That's just unreal.
Yeah. Lenz in the comments, very happy with that. Got him close to his bold prediction, and we'll get to the bold predictions, Lenz. Don't worry about that. We saw it. We noted it. It was a good effort by you. But Jordan Dawson, Tazza, has jumped out the blocks. If we're picking women, he's definitely there, I think, on the wing in the All-Australian team. And I mean, I saw there was a bit of a stat that came up on in the socials. It wasn't really a stat, but it was more a story, I think, in the last couple of days, Tazza. And it was about Dawson, Rochelle and Rankin. They're the 3 players that came into the club off the back of Adelaide not doing the trade for JHF with North. And geez, doesn't that look handy?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, they could have gone in a completely different direction, and they're absolutely reaping the rewards out of that. It seems everyone that kind of removes themselves from Horn Francis benefits. The Roos are benefiting now. It doesn't bode well for Port, but yeah, Adelaide absolutely. I mean, why would you give up 3 first-round picks anyway? It was a bit ridiculous. I can't believe North didn't take it. But, yeah. I mean, geez, they are absolutely head and shoulders above in that trade.
Probably the only people benefiting, I think, from the lack of JHF in the area would be your local petrol stations, your servos. The sales of ice bags are going through the roof now that JHF is gone.
Yeah, that was, you went on roundabouts way of getting that joke.
But I got there. I've made my way back. There you go. Look, there's the Crows, and certainly a very good hit. But we've got 2 today. And Lenza did mention it in the chat. The Bombers. The Bombers with a huge hit, and they're an easy call, BT, as a hit this week, because I speak for myself here. I don't think I speak for everyone in this chat. No one saw this coming.
No chance at all. I thought they've had a reasonably easiest run, and then they come up against the weird thing is one of the premiership favourites, and they've won that game pretty easily in the end. They actually look phenomenal, and that wasn't even that Marvel or the MCG. So when they play the majority of their games in Melbourne, they're going to be hard to beat. They're going to be pushing this top 6, top 4.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know about that. I mean,
they've got it all. My boy Andrew Phillips. That's my boy now. He won me a ticket into the Draft Stars final. He won me a ticket into that. So.
Yeah. Do we want to talk about that right now? Are you happy talking about this?
I'm happy to talk about it.
Okay. Let's hold Essendon for a little bit. Right. So BT, over your left shoulder right there, you have a Draft Stars promotion, and obviously you don't gamble. And if Draft Stars is watching, right, we would love a little bit of sponsorship maybe on the side. But we're not going there right now. Tell us about your Draft Stars experience over the weekend.
So I entered a competition where you win a ticket into our final, which is at the end of the year. The prize pools are on those boxes from the previous 2 years, which I got a ticket into.
Bit of a brag.
So you have to win. It's fantasy related. So you have to win the competition to get into that competition. So this is my 3rd year in a row. Like, come on, are you really surprised?
I'm surprised because your fantasy team's terrible.
Yeah, it is.
It's shit. But it came down. I won pretty comfortably in the end, but the big pick I had was Andrew Phillips from Essendon. He was like basement price. And if you're here at stats, so here I'll talk about your stats. So it's points per dollar, equivalent for, so Andrew Phillips was a basement price. So a 50 from him was equivalent to 125 from Tim English. So obviously went that route, and he ended up scoring a 74, his biggest score for the season, and that's what won me, and hardly anyone had him in his team.
Well, there you go. So what does this put you in the running for? Is there a top prize here?
So it's $750,000 prize.
Oh,
200 grand for first.
All right. So our man BT.
$1,000 for last.
Okay, our man BT's cashed up, and we love that. And he could be bankrolling this podcast into the next couple of seasons. We love to see that. So again, not a plug for Draft Stars because we're not sponsored. But if they are watching and they'd like to sponsor us, give us a call. Now back to the Bombers. The Bombers were excellent. We were talking about Essendon here as a potential finals smoky. There's a few comments in the chat here saying that they're still not convinced. No, I'm not convinced, Tazza. I'm not convinced at all.
Yeah, no, I'm not convinced. I mean, there's no reliance on anyone for the goals here. I think they're definitely getting a good spread, and they need to because that forward line's pretty average, I'm going to say. I mean, the lack of a key forward there is going to hurt them.
Lack of 2 metre Peter is a problem.
Yeah, exactly. I think he's out. Is he out for this? Not season, but a good chunk of it.
It's a while, but someone in the chat let us know because I don't think he's coming back anytime soon.
Yeah. Sammy Draper's up there.
Yeah, the drapes, the curtainer. Yeah. He's going unbelievable.
That Sammy Draper Phillips little rotating combo, that was very good.
5 stacks.
Really worked in their favour, and it really exposed the lack of lever for that Melbourne team, that Melbourne defence. It's just, it was an absolute huge win for Brad Scott there.
Yeah, so let's not go on the dampener because I'm still not sold on Essendon, but let's talk about how good they were on the day. 7 unanswered goals across a stretch there in the second and the third, and that broke this game open, and that's what won in the game. I want to talk about Will Setterfield a little bit, BT, because he's been a bargain basement pickup for the Dons, and he's having a really good impact to start the year.
Well, he played practically head-to-head with Clayton Oliver on the weekend. He kept Oliver to 11 disposals in the first half.
Yeah.
And if you're doing that in the first half of the game to one of the best players in the competition, that goes a long way to winning the game. To be fair, Oliver ended up having 34 or something for the game.
40 plus. He went off in the third quarter. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but that first half is where it set Essendon up for the game, keeping him to that. He had no impact really. But he's finding the ball himself. He's absolute killer pickup for Essendon.
Yeah, and getting stuck in, he's a contested beast. He's 4th in the AFL for tackles. I think he was only 1 behind the leaders. And career highs in disposals and all these other categories. So this is just the opportunity that he needed. And he's standing up and he's delivering and he's playing a really important role for the Dons. And I think that's worth highlighting. So Setterfield playing well. The Dons playing well. Are they a finals contender? Are they a finals chance? That's the question that we want to know. Let us know in the chat, in the comments below. Dons making finals off the back of their start? Yeah, really interested to see how that plays out.
Top 4.
Settle down, BT. Settle down.
Shit call.
Have you got a guarantee on that or not?
I'm not guaranteeing that.
Quick little roundup of the chat before we get to our miss. Coldloaf Records says the Dons' days since they won a final account on Twitter has gone very quiet, and that makes him very nervous. I agree. Chunky Wombat, that's a new name I haven't seen in the chat before. He's good to see you on board, mate. And he says, BT, I like your head. A lot of love.
That's why he's tuning in.
A lot of love coming in for BT being back on the call. What was his name again? Tawish?
Taffy.
Taffy thinking you're on the source, and that may or may not be true. Lens are not convinced that they're a top 8 team, and he tipped Melbourne, but at Essendon won obviously, and Anzac Day should be a good game. So there we go. Now let's talk about the miss. And what we like to do with the miss is we've been putting it out to the people. The StatChat podcast. We are a podcast of the people. We love the feedback. We love hearing from you guys. And we asked you on YouTube last night. Actually put it out a bit earlier than we usually do. We put it out last night. And we said, who is the most disappointing team for the round? We gave you a few options. We gave you Richmond. We gave you North. We gave you Melbourne. Melbourne wasn't the most disappointing team of the round. It was Carlton. Carlton on the Thursday night against Adelaide, losing by almost 10 goals, and they were a worthy, I say a worthy winner. You can't really be the winner, but they were a worthy recipient of the miss with about 40-odd% of the vote. So let's talk about them. Tazza, Carlton, very poor, and they had been previously undefeated through the first 4 weeks.
Yeah, I was never convinced that they were the real deal. I mean, they were limping to wins. They should have lost to GWS a couple of weeks ago. That was definitely. The warning signs were there, absolutely. And I haven't seen Cripps beaten that badly in a one-on-one matchup, probably in his career, because Dawson had his way all night with him and was just made to it was just following him basically, because I mean Dawson's probably had his best game and Cripps his worst. It was pretty embarrassing.
You can tell Cripps hasn't had a pre-season.
And
he's so far behind it.
And let's take into account Sammy Walsh's first game back, and the jury's still out on how those two play in the same team together, because Cripps is obviously better when Walsh isn't there because he's getting more of the footy. So I don't think that the Blues have really sorted that out yet.
Well, Walsh was probably best on for Carlton. He was one of their better players. He was everywhere from what I saw. But a 56-point loss, that looks generous. They should have lost by more. That didn't look like that. They didn't have a chance at all. It was over in the first quarter. Yeah,
it was over very early. The ruck situation and in the middle, which is usually an area of strength for the Blues, they got monstered. So down 26 in the hitouts and 26 in the contested possessions. Tazza, where do we think Carlton's at? Do we overreact to this performance, or is this, as you said, a bit more of a trend because they might have been showing some signs of slippage in the first month anyway?
Well, I mean, yeah, they're an undefeated team, but they were never a top 4 team. They're probably.
I tipped him for top 4.
Yeah. No. Well, not on this. Out of this game, I'm definitely not picking them as a top 4 team. Absolutely not. They're probably a top 8 team, but they're not hitting those heights. Not after something like that. I mean, Doherty was a huge loss in that game too. Probably lost a lot of control down in that back line. But yeah, the midfield's their strength. It's meant to be where they're their deepest. Hewitt, Kennedy, Cripps, Walsh, Chera. They bat so deep, and they just got absolutely monstered by a Sydney team that's meant to be in a rebuild. So, Adelaide. So that's worrying in itself. I'm not sure. Obviously, Carlton's midfield on their day is great, but if they're going to put in those kind of performances, it's pretty worrying.
So they do have a decent. Well, I say decent. I think it's probably quite a defining next month. So they've got the Saints coming up this week. That'll be a huge game. The Eagles away, don't even worry about that one. And then Brisbane and the Dogs at home. So it's going to be interesting how this goes. I mean, you could easily see you'd probably think the Blues are coming away with 2 to 3 wins in this, but what we want to see, BT, really is how they play. Is it inconsistent how they have been probably the first month? Or is this really the jolt that they needed to, turn things up a notch?
It seems like they're relying a lot on one of these big key forwards to have like a monster game. And if you're just relying on that for a season, you're going to lose a fair few games and you're not going to finish top 4. So I think they need to start relying on more of these smaller type forwards, and midfielders need to start kicking more goals. I think that's what they need. And then obviously, your Mackay and your Kerno are going to kick your goals, but if you can add on top of that, then that's what will get you the wins.
And they've got good small forwards on their list. I mean, Motlop, he's sort of primed for a breakout in his second year. Fisher's good. Owies a bit average, but they've got a few guys around there that can fill a role. So Durden as well. They've
got the names there. Yeah. They've got the names there, but they just need to put it all together.
Chat is a bit undecided about Carlton. Lenz is saying Carlton definitely not top 4. He agrees with you, Tazza. Hazza says they're not top 4 at the moment, and Chunky Wombat saying Cripps is overrated. Big call for the reigning Brownlow medalist, I guess. There you go. Hits and misses. Nice way to start up the episode, boys. Liking this. Some good energy, some good feedback as well from the chat. And we like that. Keep it coming. As we head into our next segment, and it's a segment where Tazza, you've been able to really come into your own a little bit. Professor Tazza with his stats of the round.
Yeah, thanks, mate. Yeah, I've had a lot of fun doing this. It's the deep dives that I have to go through to find these stats. It is very fun, and I do have probably another half dozen for you here today. So, kicking it off, most recent AFL game with 5 players kicking 4+ goals. That occurred this round. Geelong and the Eagles. Hasn't occurred for 11 years before. A bit of a goal fest that game. I think Hawkins, Cameron, Waterman, Allen, and there was one more close. All kicked 4 goals. So that's didn't really see. I mean, after the second quarter of that game, that looked like it could be a bloodbath. But the Eagles fought back well there.
Yeah, it was not pretty as an Eagles supporter. I'm not going to lie. Did just get a subscribe from Life of Ethan. So thank you for subscribing, mate. Cheers for joining the channel. And Josho, you've pretty much just missed the Essendon chat, mate. We've just spoken about him for about 10 minutes, and you've missed the boat. So that's all right. There's plenty more to come. But good areas, Tazza. Keep it coming, mate. I like it.
All right. Father and son pairings to play 200 games at the same club. So we saw Libba play his 200th, obviously following his old man Tony Liberatore. They are the 5th combo to do that after the Silvanis, the Fletchers, the Watsons, and of course the Ablets. It was a pretty momentous occasion there for Libba. Obviously not get the chocolates to my boys, but
add that in there.
Yeah, too bad.
Can't believe he's actually played 200 games. To be honest with you, like he doesn't
on the injuries.
Yeah. He's been around for a while, but I didn't sort of see that. Do you know what I mean?
I feel like he's very underrated. I mean, obviously, injuries have cruelled his career a little bit, but as a contested player, he is an absolute beast.
When you got Bontempelli playing with you, you're always going to look underrated.
Yeah, true. Yeah. All right. Players to score a goal with their first kick in VFL, AFL games with a brother watching on as a teammate. I think we all know where we're going with this. So Corey Warner kicked his first goal with his first kick against Richmond this week. The only other player to do it, Nathan Ablett.
Nathan Ablett.
Gary Jr. watching on.
Wow.
There you go. You like that from Corey? He's a Perth boy, so we'll get around him.
It's Corey Wagner as well, I think, not Corey Warner.
Warner? No, it's Sydney.
Oh, you're talking about Sydney. You're not talking about the debutante for bloody, was it Fremantle coming across
from the Sydney.
Yeah, anyway, I'm cooked. Yeah,
Corey Warner, Chad Warner.
Get me out of it.
All right, moving on. This was one I actually found to be quite interesting. I don't think it really been brought up too much. But most 4+ goal games outside Victoria by people playing for clubs based inside Victoria.
Oh, wow.
Jack Rewalt currently holds the record.
Okay.
At 24. He's just passed Jason Dunstall for that record.
The Chief
has been, he's been unseated. He's, Jack Rewalt sits atop.
I mean, that's a pretty good effort from the Chief because, I mean, there would have only really been like maybe 4 interstate teams rolling around when he was in his heyday. So, it's still though national competition now. That's a very good stat from Jack.
He's past names of like Buddy, Roughhead, Hawkins, Richo, and Matty Lloyd. So there's a who's who of forwards there. So it's pretty good company. All right, what do we got next? Players to win mark of the round. This is going back to last round. We've obviously seen these results come out after our last podcast. Players to win mark of the round in the same round as being nominated for the Rising Star.
Oh.
Mitch Elmans
Yeah.
Managed to do it. He's the fourth player, and this is a who's who of names in here. Absolutely not.
Any that we would know.
Yeah. The first one, we've got Zach Clark.
Yeah, okay.
We've got Liam Baker, and we've got Jake Riccardi as the other three.
Jake the Snake, wow.
So, yeah, he joined some esteemed company there.
Okay. Is this a sign of things to come for old Mitchell, or what do you think?
Probably. To fade out into obscurity, probably, yeah.
Bit harsh on the big fella. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. All right, and finishing off today, we're going back to Clayton Oliver. We have mentioned his prowess in the contest. He is the contested king. Just another one to throw under his belt. Games with 25-plus contested possessions. He sits 2 clear of the next player now after having 25 on the weekend. He's now had 7 games with 25-plus.
Yeah, and that is a big effort. I mean, I think the record for contested possessions is like 28 or something. It's not much more than 25.
And the fact he's been over there over 25 7 times, it's unreal. I mean, Dangerfield, Fife, and Neil sit at 5, so he's powering ahead of those names, and he's got so long left in his career.
Yeah,
it's scary what he could do.
Yeah, old Clayton Punchable Face Oliver. We do like him though. He's he is an absolute weapon in there, and if you've got him in your AFL fantasy team, you'd be pretty happy right now.
I don't.
Yeah, no, I don't, but I'm trying to find a way to get him. Is that it from you, Professor Tazza? I mean,
that is it for me. I don't currently have any more. Actually, no. I have one, but I don't actually have the particulars. I could get it wrong. I have one in my head.
So you don't want to make it up? You're just gonna sit on it?
Okay, no, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna do this ad lib. I don't have it in my notes. Sam Walsh obviously returned against Adelaide. We've talked about how he was probably BOG against not BOG but BOG for Carlton. He currently possesses the longest streak of consecutive 25 disposal games.
Okay.
And it's not even close. I think he's on currently 23 games, 25 plus. The next most is Caleb Sarong.
Sarong? I wouldn't have even gone there. That's a...
No. Sarong was... Yeah, I'm pretty sure I've got that one right. But yeah, Walsh is so far ahead. It just shows how consistent he is when he's on the park. All
right, well, we'll keep an eye on that stat as we go forward, and it'll be Sammy Walsh watch. Yeah, that's good. That's a very good stat, Tazzy. You shouldn't have sat on that. That's one to go with. That's good.
I didn't know. I didn't want to get it wrong, so I'm pretty sure I got it right. But there you go.
All right, very good. Nice work again, Tazza. You're just delivering some really nice spells of bowling here, and I want to see you keep it
line
going.
Line and length.
Very good areas, as we like to say. There you go. So quick little check of the chat. Josh O jumping on, wants to chat about Essendon. Where did you think? Do we think they'll be in finals contention? Rewind and go and have a look. Long story short, BT says yes. Myself and Tazza, we need to see a bit more. I think that's probably fair to say.
Yep, spot on.
Yeah. And Cobloaf says, thank you, Professor Tazza. I have taken notes ready for my next Tinder tape. That is...
Oh, that's quality.
That is brilliant. I hope it works.
Cobb, very good. Lens is very happy with you as well.
Please report back with your success.
Yeah, that'd actually be pretty good. The dating life of Cobloaf. Maybe a segment for next week. Yeah, we'll have a look at that. Alrighty, this is a segment that we've had to do without you the last couple of weeks, BT, but it's good to have you back on board. So here we are, BT's Game of the Week. Alrighty, now, BT, it's fair to say the picks have not been terrific from you lately, but that's okay. Now you're back on board. Now you're here. We're looking for an absolute corker of a Game of the Week. If you've only got one game, you've only got time to watch one game, which game should you watch?
We're going Carlton versus St Kilda.
Okay.
This is going to be a quality game. First versus fourth. Who would have thought St Kilda was top? Especially me. I hate this team, but they are playing well. Yeah, this is going to be a quality game. It actually is. Two quality midfields, some good forwards. There's stars all over the park. Two different type of game styles. It should be a cracking game.
So, Tazza, we sat on this podcast last week, and obviously St Kilda was in our game of the week last week because we were talking about the Pies and the Saints.
And I nailed that one, so...
I don't think you did. Anyway, Tazza, your comment, which I think was really good, was that this was a litmus test game for the Saints. And I think it's fair to say they passed the litmus test.
Yeah. They passed, yeah, absolutely. I mean, we wanted to... I think most people would have had Collingwood winning that, but Saints absolutely didn't do themselves any harm. It really looked like Collingwood were going to canter away with that, but the Saints' fight back was huge, and to get themselves really in with a chance within a kick was a huge result for them, and they'll take plenty out of that.
Yeah, so Saints again looking very good. They're just so far ahead of the rest of the comp in terms of their defensive structure. Ross the Boss has not missed a beat BT since coming back. Saints looking really good defensively, and this will be a good test coming up against two gun key forwards for Carlton. Have they got this power down back to go 1-on-1 against these guys and lock them down?
They've got the best defender in the comp at the moment with your boy Callum Wilkie.
The Wilk man, I like it.
He's because I watched that Collingwood Saints game on the weekend, and he's absolutely quality. Even his disposal has improved this year as well. I saw him hit maybe a 30-metre dart on his left foot. It was unreal coming out of pressure on him, and he hit it on the target. And if you're getting that from one of your key defenders, then you're definitely getting coached pretty well.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the Wilk, and he's certainly in the frame for an All-Australian Guernsey right now. Lenz are not wanting us to talk about Collingwood Saints anymore. He's had enough. He wasn't happy with the game. Let's talk about Carlton, boys. We just did talk about it in our previous segment. Had a stinker of a week. Lost to Adelaide. Is this the trend, or is this the way that it's going to go for the rest of the year for Carlton? Are they going to shit the bed, BT?
I think they're going to bounce back. There's no way they can play as bad as they did last week. But this St Kilda team is one of the best teams, obviously being top of the ladder. Am I giving you my tip here? Is that one, Bill?
Well, are we ready to go with it?
Let's go with it.
Okay. Who you
Let's
going
go with it. I'm going St Kilda, and I'm going St Kilda by probably 5 goals. I think it's going to be reasonably close, but I think St Kilda's defensive structure will just be able to stop these two key forwards, and in the end, they'll just run over the top of Carlton.
Yeah, I like the Saints in this game as well, for pretty similar reasons, I'm not going to lie. Tazza, you're nodding your head.
Yeah, 3 out of 3. I like the Saints here. I think they've just... Yeah, Ross Lyon's got them so well drilled. Yeah, absolutely, I'm taking the Saints.
So, I got a couple of questions for you, BT. We're predicting a 5-goal win to the Saints. Why the hell is this the game of the week? We've got Anzac Day coming up this weekend. Come on, BT. What the hell are we talking about?
We got 2 game of the weeks this week, and we have to talk about that Anzac Day. Hey, I'll make my own rules.
Turn it up. Well, here's one for you, BT. Do you want to talk about it now, or do you want to talk about it next week? Because we're on before the Anzac Day game on next week's pod.
That's a good call. That is a good call. Yeah, we'll touch on it next week, actually. We'll leave these viewers hanging.
Yeah. Let's park it there. Very good. Okay, so BT's second best game of the week is Carlton versus St Kilda.
I did not say that. Equally as good. We don't discriminate.
Unbelievable form. If you're looking forward to this game and you're in the comments right now, let us know. Sunday afternoon, Marvel 3:20. Should be an interesting game. A couple of people calling out Anzac Day. Why we're not talking about Anzac Day? Joshua wants to know what teams we support. So I think new viewer to the channel. So first off, welcome. You'll see the Eagles gear over my shoulder. BT, also a West Coast Eagles fan. Tazza, he's got the power gear hanging right there. So there's the 3 of us on the chat right now. Lenz are green. Saints with by 5 goals. So there you go, some tips in the chat.
His shit, Lenza.
Yeah. There you go. We've got some very well-informed subscribers. That's what we like to see. If you aren't subscribed already to the channel and you're watching this, get in below. Get in below. Hit that subscribe button. The more we can grow this channel, we're really excited for it. Now, though, a segment which has been gaining a little bit of traction in the last few weeks, and it'll be good to have BT back on board to assist us with this one. This is the StatChat quiz. I think every good podcast has a quiz, fellas. And this one, I think we're just starting to find some form with it. It's a little bit niche. It's a top 5 of a throwback stat. A stat from a while ago. And it's the job of Tazza, it's the job of BT, and more importantly, it's the job of our chat to come up with the answers for the top 5 for this quiz. So, fellas, this is the first time since the year 2000 that Essendon and Collingwood have been top 4 heading into Anzac Day. That is a long time ago. So, what we're doing in honour of that, we're throwing back to the year 2000. I need you boys to give me the top 5 in the Brownlow medal from the year 2000. In the chat as well, no Googling, but if you've got some names, let us know. Loving this from Lenza, second best segment behind the bold predictions. Getting around that. Do you guys want some clues to start off, or do you just want to start going with names?
I'll give you the winner.
Yeah.
Shane Woden.
Shane Woeful is number there, number 1, 24 votes.
Yeah.
24 votes. He won the Brownlow, and yeah, you can't really knock a Brownlow medalist. He was judged by the umpires as the best man that year. So Shane Woden, playing for Melbourne, won the Brownlow in the year 2000. Cobloaf right there with you. Now, I'm looking for some players from the Bulldogs. So the Bulldogs in second, Adelaide in third, a Carlton player in fourth, and then tied for fifth, I've got another Carlton player and a Magpie.
Koutafidis.
Koutafidis is there. He's fourth with 19 votes.
Scott West.
Scott West is there from the Bulldogs. He's second. Fellas, this is a good start. We're flawless so far.
So you said we need another Carlton?
I need another Carlton tied for fifth, and I need an Adelaide Crow, and I need a Magpie. So you said Andrew McLeod. Yes, third place, 20 votes. Now I need a Magpie
Buckley?
And a Blue. The chat beat you to it, but yes, BT, Nathan Buckley was tied for fifth. So now, for a perfect record on the StatChat quiz, boys, this has not happened yet. We haven't been there.
I can't think of any other names.
I need a Carlton.
I wasn't even watching footy then.
I need a Carlton man.
Oh, no. I can think of one, but I can think of a few names, but I don't know where to go with it.
Oh.
I don't know which one. I'm thinking of like Camporelli. This isn't my guess, by the way.
You tell me when you want the lock in a guess, because we're going for a perfect record here.
This is
with
big.
Clues, of course, but it's a perfect record potential.
There's Craig Bradley, but he wasn't like right up there.
And the chat's giving you absolute donuts right now.
There's crickets. Yeah.
There's nothing from the chat.
I don't think I'm going to be any help.
Oh, Carlton. Oh, no, not Lance Whitnall. No. I don't know. Camporelli wasn't that good, was he? Look, I can't think of anyone else. I'm just gonna have to go with Scott Camporelli.
Well, I tell you what, the chat nailed it. You boys choked at the last minute.
No.
Brett Ratton rounds out the top 5.
Harvey got it first
there
in.
you go.
Harvey and Cobloaf.
Yeah, Tawi and Cobloaf nailing the top 5. There you go. The StatChat quiz, throwing it back to the year 2000. Boys, good, not quite good enough.
So close.
That's pretty good.
Let's be honest, it's better than you have been. I'm not going to lie. There you go, StatChat quiz. If you've got any ideas, by the way, don't send something that these boys are going to be able to look at. But they don't check the Facebook anyway. So send us a little message on Facebook if you've got any ideas for the quiz, and I'll take it on board. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Now, we spoke about a new segment fellas. And I'm not sure this segment's going to get a run every week because I think it's important. I think it's important, but I don't think if we do it every week, it's going to have the right effect, and I don't think it's going to breed the sort of culture that we want amongst us.
I think it needs to be like a quarterly thing.
Yeah, I think so. I think you're right. So
we're coming to round 6. We're a quarter way through the season.
Yeah, that's right. So what we're calling this segment is the Monday roast. Not the Sunday roast, as you usually would have, but the Monday roast. And what we're doing here, boys, is we're just giving some good, honest feedback to the other members of this podcast. And to be honest, I think it's needed. I think we've been good this year, okay? I think the live streams have been good. I think that the fans are really happy with the sort of stuff we're putting out, Tazza. But we don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, okay? I think we might need to rein it in a little bit. And the way we do that...
We all need to be knocked down a peg.
I think so. And I think who better to knock us down a peg than our brothers here at StatChat. I think it's fair.
Go on, Joshie.
Yeah, you kick it off.
You want me to kick it off? So just some ground rules here. Okay, nothing too personal. All right, no, nothing to the face. But look, if you're on the receiving end of some criticism, cop it. Don't question it. Just cop it on the chin. So look, BT, you've been missing the last couple of weeks. I think we start with you, Tazza. What do you think?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. All right. BT obviously in the twos last couple of weeks, and look, BT, you are the people's champion. Okay, you're the people's champion, the self-proclaimed king. You are a man that he's not known as a gambler, but you're well and truly across the odds, and you're a man that knows how to guarantee a big call. You dish out the guarantees like they're going out of fashion. You've been in the twos, okay, and I think it's been worthy. And I'm not going to lie, we've touched on it a little bit. Your game of the week calls this year have not been at the standards that we've come to expect from the great man, and I think you need a lift. Okay, let me run through the list. Round 2, Brisbane, Melbourne. It took a malfunctioning fluorescent bulb in the stands to actually make this game watchable. So you've had a miss there. Pies and Richmond. It was a snooze fest, low scoring. The Pies almost did double the amount of behinds they did goals. Better than that, you didn't get that. Brisbane, Collingwood, 5-goal smashing from the Lions. You missed out on the After the Siren of Lear special. You're 0 for 3, and then you've backed it up on the weekend. Saints and Pies. Blind Freddie could have seen this was going to be a snooze fest with low scoring. It actually got outperformed.
Wow.
Actually got outperformed by a sandful contest at Norwood between the Giants and the Hawks. So I think you're well and truly 0 for 4 on the year, BT.
Oh, wow.
I can't back you up there.
You can't even consider a GWS Hawthorn game as game of the week. That's just, you can't even look at that.
Okay. Well, look, even if we give you 1 for 3, look, by your standards, it's poor. And I love you, man. I'm putting you on notice. Okay.
Can I have a little bit of a rebuttal here? So, because this is my segment, and that's obviously I take charge of it, we head over to our YouTube channel. Which videos get the most views?
No, look, it's fair enough, but it doesn't mean that they're accurate, BT. But
it doesn't come down to just final result to determine game of the week. It comes down to the skill level as well.
Okay. Well, that's fair enough, but I think the message has been received, and that's all I wanted to say, Tazza. I don't know if you've got anything on your end.
Look, not on that. I'm not looking at that. No, I mean, I think you're 1 out of 3. You do need to lift your game, absolutely. I mean, I think Josh is harsh, but you can lift.
I can.
I think there's more to come from you. Absolutely.
And that's not to say we don't think you can, because we've seen your work rate before. We've seen your output. We know what you're capable of producing, BT. I think the good people watching this podcast deserve to say.
Give me a little bit of time. I had it interrupted pre-season. I did so.
Fair enough. Building into the right areas. Okay, that's all I had, BT. The question is, do you want to turn your attention to me, or do you want me to give Tazza a bit of a clip?
Well, not to you, but can I just say something? I tuned in last week when I could. I was at work and I was just tuning in on my phone, and old mate Tazza over here thinking that it wasn't gather round. How disrespectful was that? And thinking one of the games was played at the MCG.
Oh, look, I've got a spiel lined up here ready for this man. The man that's been adopted by the state of South Australia. He's an honorary son. He's the pride of Port Adelaide. He didn't even know that the gather round was being played, and he thought that the Collingwood St Kilda matchup was being played at the G. Unbelievable form, Tazza.
To which I did correct myself. I did correct myself, but it was probably about 20 minutes too late.
Look, you've let yourself down. And I think the most disappointing part about this, Tazza, is that you copped a clip not just from us, but you've copped a drive-by from another YouTube channel, a very high-profile YouTube channel, and one that has been critical of the work of StatChat Sports in the past. And I'm talking about Saints TV. Because Saints TV jumped on that video and gave you a rock-solid drive-by, and that's just the sort of rev-up that I think you need.
Yeah, probably. That was a piss-poor performance from me. I should have done my homework there. Look, feed it to me, because I deserve it. Absolutely.
Look, it was poor. I think everybody from Broome to Burnie knew that Barossa Valley was where the footy was being played on the weekend, and the fact that you didn't it's disappointing. And BT,
I've got to get better. I've got to be better.
BT, I was right there. That's exactly where I was there.
Yeah, you're on notice with that one.
Alrighty, boys. Some comments for me. And by the way, if you're in the chat right now and you've got some feedback for the crew, this is the forum. All right. Don't hold back. If you got something you want to say, get it off your chest. Right? Let us know in the comments right now. But boys, I've been a bit harsh. So what do you got for me?
I've got one. If I could start. So the viewers may not know, but we do have an impending long-term absence for one of our members. Josh has decided to take half of the bloody footy season off and venture over to bloody Europe. What are you doing, mate?
Look,
you're meant to be the anchor of this show. What, like, you just gonna drop us and leave us?
Look,
like, what is this?
I'm going on the long-term injury list, boys, and we're looking for a pickup from the mid-season draft to fill the void here. But yeah, I'm putting my hand up.
Yeah, to bounce off that, I don't even think you might not even make it back into the team. You make it great after that. You're going to have to do some serious work in the twos to get back into the team.
Look, there's a bit of shock in the comments. Lenz is up and about. He's not happy with this. Fair to say, I'm actually going away to do a bit of a mini pre-season because I have some work to do. I may be going over to look at a few other sports, try and get some additional content for the StatChat Sports crew. And
that's what you call it.
Look, I need to be better. I need to be better. The commitment's poor, and I'm going to have to be on the long-term injury list, unfortunately. Yeah, got to cop it.
So it's like you're likening this to Clarko going to the States to learn a bit. Is that what you're saying?
I think exactly on that sort of vein. Not saying I've got some meetings teed up with Steve Kerr, but Ashes is on. I'll be floating around the squad, giving a bit of advice.
Go hit up Steve Smith and see what you can learn from him.
Yeah, that's right. Danny Rick as well at the F1. Just going to give him a couple of pointers on getting back in the driver's seat, but also just test the waters a bit. So just venturing out a little bit, and certainly disappointing. But I think again, the StatChat Sports crew is going to have to hit the draft and hit the draft hard for some additional bods to bring onto the list.
Yeah, I think we're looking that way. It's going to be a shit show.
It's going to be all over the place, but we'll get it done.
Coblo saying, surely they have internet in Europe, you mug. That's a
good call.
That is a reasonable comment, and I can't say no to that. Look, while there's stacks on, is there anybody else here that wants to jump in and give a bit of criticism
here? Yeah. Actually, now that I think of it, you talk about this big new segment of the OG StatChat where you give us these questions and everything. Yet the only people who could see it is the live stream. It hasn't been edited onto YouTube just yet.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair enough. One for the audience interaction. But yeah, cop it square.
Yeah.
No issues with that.
There we go. And that's all I've got because you do majority of the work with these live streams.
Yeah.
That's fair enough. Alrighty, there you go. That is the Monday roast, and I don't mind it. I think we've all learnt a little bit more about where we need to pick things up, and a bit of work to move forward with, boys. So, what do you reckon? I think we'll come back middle of the year maybe, and and revisit this.
Yep, I'll take some notes down until then, and be sure to roast both of you.
Very good.
And the chat. I'll be roasting the chat as well if I see some shit calls.
Yeah, well, Lenza has just said, I think we can all roast each other at our bold predictions. And that is a terrific segue as we head into everybody's favourite segment. This is the bold predictions. Great to have BT back on the call for this week because it's just not as effective delivering it when you're just posting up a little comment on the chat. We need you here. We need the delivery in person and we need the reaction. So let's give you the new ball, mate. Let's give you the new ball because I think you've earned it from your week in the twos.
Yeah, Brett Lee's going to be steaming in here. I'm going straight to Friday night, only because I'll be at the game. Me and the missus are going to the game.
Oh,
so
yes, wonderful.
Bulldogs versus Fremantle, and I'm going with the astronaut here. He's having a huge game. He's only kicked 8 goals for the whole season so far. He's doubling that. He's kicking 8 on the weekend. However, Fremantle will still get the W.
Okay. It's an interesting call, and it's definitely bold.
Okay, can I add on top of that? I'm not on to the top of my prediction, but I don't gamble, remember, but I did look at the odds. The most I could pick was 6 goals. So 6 goals and a win for Fremantle was 190-1. So I add an extra 2 goals, obviously, on top of that. You make will of what you want, but that's where I'm going.
Okay, well, it's definitely good areas, and I did actually look up some stats in this sort of vein about players kicking bags but still losing not long ago, and I think it was Jezza Cameron, who I think he's kicked 4 bags of 6 or more and still lost. So it's not it doesn't happen often, and usually happens when you're a shit team, and the Doggies are pretty average this year, but it is a big call, Tazza, and I'm interested to see where you're at.
I give it bold. I don't think it's crazy. I think it's bold. That's what you're going to get from me.
Yeah, it's a little harsh. I'd like some validation from the comments. I think it's probably ridiculous, and I say that because if this is bold, I think I'm no chance of getting a bold myself. So I'll go with ridiculous, I think.
Yeah, we'll see what the chat says on that one.
Yeah, we will. While we're waiting, I just want to rehash some of the calls from last week. And if you are in the chat and you've got calls for this week, send them through. Start sending them through because we'll read them out on the show. Last week, BT, you were close. You didn't quite get there. Tazza, I don't even know what your prediction was last week, but I'm assuming that it was no good.
It was Fogarty and Rankin to kick 12, and then there was something else. So it was way off.
Yeah, so it didn't happen. I was nowhere near it because the gather round delivered, and there was a good crowd at the Gold Coast Freo game, and they actually scored a fair few points. So I was way off. Cobloaf was nowhere near it with his obscure call on the 9s. Lenza was pretty good. He had a Crows win. He had a big game for Jordan Dawson in the Super Coach. Didn't quite get there, but it was the best call we've seen for the year so far. Tawi had Gold Coast... Taffy. I don't like this W. Taffy. Gold Coast for the win. Brayshaw 30 plus. Amos 4 goals. That wasn't there. Sportsnut wasn't there with Richmond. Sean Davies wasn't there with any of his calls about Melbourne. And Dale Goodman just sort of sneaking in the chat. Dogs by 100. Kent to get sacked. That didn't happen. So... Not a lot going on in the bold prediction department from last week. Tazza, what do you got this week, mate? Where we heading?
So I'm also going to a game I'm going with a game that I'm going to. I'm going to Port Adelaide West Coast.
You're in South Australia this weekend.
I am. I'm 1 week late for the gather round. Yeah, I've caught the drags at the end, and I'm going to round 6. But I am predicting a big game for Todd Marshall. Yeah.
Oh, Toddy, your boy.
Toddy, my boy Toddy, the saviour from this week. He's going to have 6. Well, he's going to combine with Oscar Allen for 12. So they're both going to have a share of 12 goals. Toddy's going to take 10 marks.
Okay.
And Port are going to be plus 30 in clearances.
Plus 30?
30.
That's a big number.
So what does a team normally win clearances by?
Well, take last week's effort of Geelong and the Eagles. They were plus 20.
Yep, okay.
Yeah. So, look, it could happen. It certainly could happen, but it would be bold. I think your Allen and Toddy call is definitely at least bold. And what was the other call you had?
It was
10 marks.
10 marks for Toddy.
Yeah, so and if he has a big bag, he's probably going to kick the 10 goals anyway. So, look, it's definitely bold. Is it more than that? I think it's borderline, and I think we go.
It's a high bold.
It's a high bold.
High bold or a low ridiculous?
It's not. I don't think it's a low ridiculous. I think it's a high bold. Lens are saying the 30 plus clearance differential's no chance. So
there you go. Call it ridiculous.
Shuey might be back, so he might kick the goal after siren anyway. So
it'll probably pop a string.
It would be just my luck that he did that.
He'll pop a string while he's kicking the goal too. Lens says ridiculous. So maybe we pay this as ridiculous, BT. 2 ridiculous is on the trot.
Yeah, Lenzer convince us.
Okay, there you go. All right, I'm going to dish up my prediction here after a stinker last week. I too am also going Dogs Fremantle. So, Doggies have been terrible to start the year. Second worst scoring team in the comp through 5 weeks. They've only scored more than 70 points once for the whole year. So, they've been pretty poor. And Freo have been good defensively. So they got the sixth best back line in the comp. Only allowed over 100 points once this season. So start off. That's just a little bit of background for the prediction. You know I like to do that. Doggies are going to kick 20 goals in this game. The first time they would have done that since mid last year. They've only done that 7 times total with Bevo as the coach. So that's the first part. Doggies are kicking 20 goals. As part of that, Rory Lobb, goalless. Rory Lobb is not kicking a goal in his return to play against his former team. And the last part, the Bont. We love the Bont. I think he started the year really well. He's going to have a career-high AFL fantasy points. His best was actually against Freo in the elimination final last year. He had 140-odd. He's going 150 plus on Friday night in the AFL fantasy department. So that is my triple dip. Dogs 20 plus goals. Lobb isn't kicking any of them, and the Bont is going 150 plus in AFL fantasy.
Lobb has to play the whole game though, right?
Yeah. I'm not. If he gets injured, I'm not taking any credit for that at all. That's fair enough. Well, sorry if I say that. If he's playing shit and he gets subbed off, I'm still taking credit for it.
Well, we'll be the judge of that. We'll be the judge of that. Yeah.
Yeah, 20 goals. Yeah, 20 goals away from home. That's a big number.
And the big fella's not kicking any of them.
I think all of our predictions are roughly the same.
Yeah.
We're in that bold to ridiculous range.
Yeah. I can't quite put it in one yet, but it's absolutely bold. Definitely.
Look, I'd love a little bit of validation from the chat, and I'd love just following on from our Monday roast to get a little bit of love going here, and maybe we would just all go with a consensus ridiculous for the week. I think that's reasonable.
Yeah, that'll make things a lot easier.
Although Lenzer doesn't agree. Lenzer says he thinks it's definitely bold. He's not sure if it's ridiculous. Come on, man. Come on. You give me a bit of love here.
You think if they're kicking 20 goals, Bont's getting really close to 150 fantasy points.
And if they're kicking 20, Lobb is at least hitting the scoreboard.
And if they're kicking 20, there's a good chance my prediction will get up. with Norton.
Norton, yeah.
So I think we're in this together, man. I think we're ridiculous together.
This is a team effort here.
Yeah.
Go ridiculous.
Go ridiculous.
Yeah, I love it. Taffy, North bowled 20 goals, lobbed none. So he's stacking on the back end of that. I like it. What else we got here in terms of the bowl predictions coming through? Lenz's bowl prediction.
This is big.
Anzac Day, Darcy Parish and Nick Dacos to combine for more than 90 disposals and 2 goals, yet none of them win the medal. I think that
That's pushing Steve level.
I think we're in Steve territory there from Lens.
There's no way Nick Dacos is the golden boy of the league. If he hits 40, he's getting the medal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Darcy Parish can do it. I mean, he's junked most of his possessions.
But he's done it before. He's won it before.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, yeah. But Dacos.
I don't mind the call. Like, it's even a ridiculous call. Them combining for 90, but for none of them to get the normal. That's Steve level.
That's Steve.
It's very good. Taffy says his Steve call for the week. West Coast for the win. Nothing special. Just a 4-goal win. So.
That's ridiculous.
That is.
So
it'd be just my luck that Eagles to beat Port.
Yeah.
Oh, I'd love that.
Of course you would.
Yeah. I don't care. I think I'd prefer that than to win the premiership.
Just so you can roast me next week.
BT's definitely been on the sauce. Bold predictions. If you have any bold predictions in the comments, let us know, because we'll give you the feedback next week. We'll let you know how they go. And if you're right, we will shower you with praise, because we're still looking for a successful bold prediction so far this year. That should be good. Alrighty, guys, we're going to do our tips, and then after that, we're going to do our Ask StatChat segment. You'll have 5 minutes on the clock to ask us whatever you want that's football related. So make sure you have those ready to go. But before that, fellas, let's do the tips. Friday night, Freo Dogs. This one in WA. It's first time Freo been on a Friday night in quite a while. Tazza, where are you going with this?
I'm 50-50 on this. You can flip a coin. I've currently got the Bulldogs tipped in my tipping, so I'm going to go there.
Yeah, I'm going the Doggies as well, and BT, your bold prediction kind of gave a little bit away with this.
Yeah, Fremantle for me. Should be. It is definitely 50-50 game, though.
Yeah, certainly a tight one, but more so because the teams haven't really shown us their best footy yet, you'd think. Port Adelaide, West Coast, Saturday, early time slot this one, Tazza. You're going to be there. We know you're tipping Port Adelaide in this one.
Absolutely, yep. Definitely.
The two Eagles supporters on the chat, myself and BT, I think it's fair to say our season's cooked, and Port Adelaide would have to be doing something wrong to lose this game.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Giants and Brisbane, Saturday afternoon, Giants Stadium. BT, who do you like in this game?
Don't know why. I don't know why, but it's the Giants.
Oh,
yeah, I'm with you.
Alert.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's
Brisbane cannot play away from the Gabba. I think it's a real thing.
Well,
they're really going to struggle.
They just won at the Barossa.
Yeah, it's neutral. That's why.
Not being disrespectful to the Giants supporters, but it might be a little bit neutral as well at the Giants Stadium. Brisbane for me. Brisbane, the better team. I like the Giants. They've exceeded my expectations this year. And that Harry Himmelberg mark and goal late, that was just exceptional work.
If he played for a Vic team, he'd get a lot more recognition. He's a good player.
I think he might be next year. It's Brisbane for me. Geelong, Sydney, grand final rematch, and again, this game was nowhere near game of the week for BT, but reasonably so, because Geelong have been pretty average. BT, who do you like?
Sydney for me. I think Geelong are still a pretty average team.
Yeah, I've tipped Sydney, but again, away from home at GMHBA, but Sydney do play well there, Tazza.
Yeah, I'm going to take Geelong. I just think they're back at GMHBA. I think this is their first this season. Yeah, so look, homecoming, they'll be pretty up and about. I think they'll get the chocolates.
Yep. Hawks Adelaide. I actually don't know where this game is on the Sunday, so I'm not gonna do a Tassie from last week. Tassie. Okay. Does that change anything for you boys?
No. Adelaide for me.
Yeah.
Adelaide looking like one of the form teams in the comp. Should get it done. Carlton, St Kilda. If you haven't seen our Game of the Week preview video, or if you weren't tuned into the live stream earlier on, consensus is we're going Carlton. We're going St Kilda, I should say. All three of us going with the Saints in this game. Gold Coast, North Melbourne. Oof. Gee whiz, what a tantalising matchup this one is.
Is it your boys? What do you mean?
The Gold Coast Suns have shit me, boys. They've absolutely done me dirty this year. Fair to say I won't be going up to the Gold Coast for the first week of finals for a home elimination final.
Where's this played?
This is on the Gold Coast.
I'm going Gold Coast.
They weren't. No, they were pretty awful towards the back end in that Freo game. I'm still going to go Gold Coast. Yeah.
Gold Coast for me as well. Cobloaf's not going to be happy in the chat, but clean sweep on Gold Coast in this game. Melbourne, Richmond, Monday night. We're going to have to do our live stream, I think, as soon as that game finishes. Richmond have been pretty disappointing to start the season, boys, and have really escaped our criticism so far in the miss segment. But Melbourne, obviously, with a pretty poor loss as well on the weekend.
Yeah, bounce back game for Melbourne for me, comfortably.
Yeah, I'm the same as well. Richmond, I don't know what their game style's not outdated, but they're just they're not executing. Their sort of chaos ball thing should fit right into the fast ball movement game that is working these days. But I don't know, it's just not coming together.
They don't have the skill there.
Yeah, exactly. I think they've lost a lot of those experienced players that got them that were hanging around for those premierships. So Melbourne.
D's for me as well. I'm looking forward to touching on Richmond a little bit more in the next few weeks. I had them finishing top 2. They don't look like making the finals right now, and that is a big oversight on my part. So happy to cop that. Anzac Day game. I think we hold this one, fellas. I think we park our predictions on the Anzac Day game until our live stream next week. So make sure you're tuning in for that one. That is our tips for the round. And to be honest, fellas, I actually had a good round of tipping last week. I think got 7. I've been shithouse this year.
I got 6.
But I'm back.
Yeah, I got 6.
The Gold Coast did me dirty, actually. I would have had 8 if they had held on. But anyway,
I would have had 7 if I'd put my tips in. I said all week Adelaide are going to win that game against Carlton. What do? Not put my tips in and get the away team.
I'm going to
absolutely screwed.
I'm going to keep that one in the back pocket for the next Monday roast, because for a man on a sports AFL podcast and not putting tips in.
Oh, and I've been asked half a dozen times by people at work, still didn't put them in.
And you're running the comp. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Too busy helping everyone else.
Yeah, there you go. Alrighty, we're close to wrapping up. We've run... Well, we don't really have a time limit, but we usually keep this nice and tight in an hour, but we've had a bit to cover, which is fine. So let's go right now with our Ask StatChat segment. We're putting 5 minutes on the clock. There's my 5th finger. There it is. I'm going to start the timer now, so make sure you get your questions in right now. We're talking AFL questions. I'm going to start it off while the chats come in. Gather round in South Australia, fellas. Another 3 years. Tazza, are you happy with the call?
Sorry, what was that?
Gather round being in South Australia for another 3 years. Are you happy with that?
Oh. Yeah, I think credit to Adelaide, taking it on. They were the ones that took the risk and it paid off. So give it to them, and it gives me a reason to go to Adelaide every year.
Yeah, BT, I think it'll be bigger. Certainly the awareness will be bigger again for next year, but I would have liked to see it shared around a little bit, not going to lie.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think it would be if we could just share it around, especially in Victoria. If they had it all in, well, it's practically that every round, isn't it?
Yeah, no, I'm thinking
Victoria.
I'm thinking Tassie. I'm thinking Tassie, and I was thinking Northern Territory.
Okay,
how good would that be?
Call.
That's a terrible call.
That's terrible.
Why is it a terrible call?
Where are you going to put everyone?
You've got
how many tickets are you going to sell?
You've got
60,000 for the whole weekend.
You've got 2 grounds, and you're trying to promote the sport in a state that doesn't have a team right now. I think it's a perfect spot to put it.
I guarantee Tassie will be contributing a shit ton of money to get that across the line because the AFL won't be making much.
Yeah, but I think it's also part of tourism, and obviously South Australia got a lot out of tourism for this, so that's why I like to share it around. Anyway, let us know in the chat if you've got any thoughts on that one. Lenza, what do we think of Freo versus Gold Coast? I know Freo won, but once again, they did not look very good in my opinion. They did not look good, Lenza, at all. Freo,
both teams look shit.
I think going into that game, I don't know if we said it on the last podcast, but really it was the losers not making finals. I think after seeing that, it's just reaffirmed none of those teams are making finals.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
So they were pretty poor. Hot Gamer, do you think Freo can still make the 8? Well, that answers that question right there.
The hot game.
Hot. This is an exceptionally hot gamer. No, Freo not getting a look in as far as I'm concerned. You right there, Taz?
Yeah, that's exceptionally hot.
Cobloaf Records. Is there an app for the best price servo ice bag? Look, I'm assuming you're talking about frozen ice here, in reference to JHF earlier in the segment. Not sure. We'll come back to you. If you find one, let us know. But I found 7-Eleven pretty good value, boys. I don't know about you.
You get locked
Coles
in the price.
Express.
Coles Express. You're a Coles Express fan, Tasman.
I'm a Coles Express man, yeah.
Yeah, same. Use my flybys there.
Yes, there you go.
There we go. We're all about the plugs today. We're looking for a plug from Draft Stars. We're looking for a Coles Express sponsorship as well. Yeah, no other questions coming in the chat. So come on, send it through because we've still got another couple of minutes left here.
Who's leading the Brownlow?
That's exactly what I was going to ask you. Nick Dacos for me, looking $1 million right now, Tazza.
Yeah, it's hard to go past him.
I would have thought your man
Jordan
Jezza.
Dawson.
You've been all over Jezza Cameron all year. Surely he's
definitely up there.
Yeah, actually, yeah. I was going to say Jordan Dawson, but yeah, no, Jez has got to be right up there.
Nick Dacos probably polled 3 votes in nearly all the games except for one, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, here we go. Coles Express with flybys. Yep, he's happy with that. Hot Gamer. Tazza looks like the pair. Now, we've actually had this comment before.
This has come out before.
Yeah. The pair, who is a very reputable Port Adelaide YouTuber, a lot bigger subscriber base than us. Is he your cousin? Do you need to get us in touch with him or what?
Is that why he had to South Australia this weekend?
Yeah, baby, yeah, go see him. I took the time to have a look, and I can see a little bit, but I'm surprised that multiple people are calling out because I don't really see that much, but I can see a little bit.
Can I set you a challenge? And this is a very big challenge, but I think our chat may be able to help us out with this. I would love, Tazza, for you to get a photo with the pair at the Port Adelaide game on Saturday.
Send him a tweet.
It's a big ask,
maybe.
But I think our chat can get in the comments. Let him know that there's a lookalike that's going to be at the ground on Saturday. If we can get this happening, I think this would just blow up the YouTube AFL community. I think that would be huge.
Is it? Yeah, we're gonna have to try and not name drop him. We'll have to get him into the comments to see. But yeah, look, I'll try my best. I'll send a few tweets out and see if I can't get his attention.
Okay, a couple more comments because we are at the end of 5 minutes. Taffy with 2 comments. First one relates to the sort of stuff we've just been talking about link-ups. When are the True Footy guys linking up with us? We actually had a little bit of correspondence with Jesse from True Footy last year. Nothing eventuated, but we'd certainly like to. And I think he's actually headed over to Europe. So maybe.
Oh, there you go.
Maybe the cards are lining up. Maybe I get over there and get on the pod with Jesse. Taffy also says, "Will I cancel my trip if West Coast win?" Yeah, the Misso won't be happy with that, but I would be very happy. I would be very happy to see a West Coast Eagles win. And last one, a favourite AFL caller of all time. It's Dennis for me, but boys, who you got?
Oh, it's BT for me.
Yeah, it's got to be Dennis.
Yeah,
I'm a big comedian fan. Yeah.
Iconic.
Yeah.
Dennis for the professionalism and BT for the
good laugh.
BT for the BT. Let's be honest. Alrighty, that's it for the StatChat segment, fellas. We've done beautifully. BT, very nice work from you, jumping back in from the twos this week. You've done beautifully, mate, I have to say.
Yep, 40 disposals and 4 goals.
Looking forward to seeing you back it up next week. Tazza, you're going to be in South Australia over the weekend. Enjoy that. Go looking for the pair. And I don't think you're going to be on the pod next week because of that. So we'll miss you, mate.
I will be taking a leave of absence for a week. But yes, I'm sure you guys will soldier on in my absence.
Yep, no, we'll make it work. If you've been on the chat tonight, thanks again for joining us. We love having the interaction. Taffy, cheers to you, mate. Thanks for tuning in. All the boys that have been on there. Len's a nice work. We'll be back Monday night, but it will be after the footy. So if you're watching the game, watch it as soon as it's finished. Jump onto YouTube because we will be on the stream talking everything from the AFL round that has been and previewing the Anzac Day game. How good's that? Perfect, I would think. Perfect viewing for a Monday night before a public holiday. Anyway, aside from that, take care and